This episode of Gaming and BS dedicated to Kevin Lovecraft. 500 days. We're proud of you. Episode 222 of Gaming and BS recorded Sunday, December 23rd, 2018. Ho, ho, ho. I'm one of your hosts, Sean.
And I'm Brett. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, folks. Glad to have you all on board. This, this will not drop before the Christmas holiday. I know plenty of other people celebrate a lot of holidays, so happy holidays to all and sundry.
Yes, indeed.
Do you do big stuff? I can't remember. I've known you for like 5 years now, and we've been doing this for 4 years. Do you have anything big planned for like the Christmas, New Year's thing? You anything big this year?
No, holiday season is, we've got a small family, so I always go over to mom's usually because she'll host. And that is consisting of 6 people. And then we will go to my sister-in-laws.
Okay.
And that will consist of 5 or 6 people. I mean, sometimes she'll bring a guest, but it's 5 family. Obviously, my mother-in-law passed away, so we're down one from that.
Okay.
So it's relatively low key. We don't go anywhere. We don't travel anywhere. You, Brett? What about you? New Year's Eve, pretty low key too. I always have a standing invite to Doc's, which is usually a little soiree there. But I have been amiss.
Yeah, Doc actually at Gamehole Con every year. He said, "Brett, you can come too. Bring a wife." I'm like, it's not gonna happen, Doc. Thank you though. I appreciate that. Yeah, for me, it's all the kids are home. Connor was able to leave early from the Air Force, earlier than we thought. So he's home right now, which is kind of cool. So he'll be for Christmas Day. That means all 5 of my munchkins are home for Christmas, which is really nice. And then it's a short week, and New Year's is usually pretty mellow. What the big thing for me is, like, right after this is done, bam, EverCon. So EverCon's the first weekend in January. So I'm like, holy crap, that's coming up real fast.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is. The end of the year is upon us, and I really have no idea where the hell the year went, all things said.
Me neither.
Anyway, I guess. So let's see stuff and things. So evercon.org, I mentioned that. We're still selling badges. You can still get them for $35 for the weekend. So I hope you're going to be there. I think we've got, my last count, Alpha was still cranking through events, getting them posted. I think we got over 200 different events out there. We're darn near 200. Got it. Event 190, 192. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of really cool stuff. Role-playing games, so forth. My 2 little ones are running. And Connor is able to be there as well. So he's dragging up 2 of his buddies to come to the con. So it'll be fun. Damn good time. And let's see here. Oh yeah. You want to do the email list because we're giving away stuff from awesomedice.com.
Just a reminder to sign up at gamingandbs.com, sign up for our email, and be registered to win a set of dice from awesomedice.com. So we're going to give one away for December, and then we'll give one away for January.
Very cool.
Yep. And if you've already registered, great, you're in. And if you're part of our Patreon, you're in there as well.
Nice. And of course, there's my EverCon. I'm looking at the notes here. My Streets of Avalon Kickstarter is going really well. I've got, as of today, the 23rd, we have 24 days left. And we initially had a $3,000 goal, and we doubled it. I got $6,002 right now looking at the KS, which is pretty cool. Within, I think, less than 24 hours, we funded. And then we hit the first stretch goal in Avalon Ranger, and then the Firearms for Avalon, the neighborhood map. It went bam, bam, bam. The first 3 days, it was like funding, stretch goal. And then it slowed down a little bit, but I'm like, holy crap, this is really cool. And I'm trying my best not to inundate our listeners too much across social media. It's just really exciting when things are happening. You're like, oh my God, look, we did this cool thing. Oh my God, stuff's happening. So if for some bizarre reason, not for some bizarre reason, if you are annoyed at my constant oh my god posts, I will do my best to tone that back. But for the first 48 hours, it was kind of like, holy shit, it just exploded. I actually we had one out there. The one high end pledge was I was going to run a game for a person and some of their friends, and that went out like pow right away. Someone grabbed them, like, wow, that's really neat. And we talked about it. I'm like, I can do one more, maybe two more, probably one more, just scheduling and what's realistic. So that went. Our other high end one had 5 openings. That went real fast. What's in a box? And I actually think one of my buddies went in at the retail level because he wanted 5 copies. I'm like, dude, why did you do that? He goes, that's good for you. You need it. I'm like, oh, all right. But
Maybe he's going to sell them.
Maybe he will. Maybe
he's
he
a
will.
retailer, yeah.
Yeah, I got it right to eBay on all of them, he asked me. So
that's right.
Lily Big B.
So what do you think is, what can you attribute to your success, Brett?
Me, mostly me.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
okay.
if it wouldn't have been, I mean, I'm just dragging the Encoded team behind me. It's like, no. Oh, hell no. Organized.
Wow.
No, my God. The guys that Encoded, Chris, Phil, Bob, Sean Merwin, John Arcadian, the art that we've got from Matt Morrow. We took a long time, at least in Brett's perspective, like, oh my God, why don't we get going? But we took a long time to make sure that we had our shit together, dialed in, and that, as I said this to you earlier, we wanted to make sure that we had a stretch, X number of stretch goals, but nothing stupid. And we wanted to keep the funding level appropriate. I didn't want to come out and say, I need 10 grand just to get this thing going. We want to do it. We want to make it happen. So there's no point. I'm not going to get rich doing this. I told Hobbs had me on his show, which he just released a little bit ago too. And it was the same. I wanted to do this because I wanted to create a thing with my name on it. It would be a lot of fun. And these guys from the Encoded crew are just awesome. And we did a really, really well planned and well executed. And I told Phil this. His project management skills are top notch. He could work on my team any day. That guy's got his shit together. And Chris and
sending
John,
out the backers Gantt charts and shit, man.
Yes, he is.
Jesus Christ.
That's music to my ears. You can see, you can watch the progress, watch it go. It's pretty cool. That's very cool.
I'm waiting to get in on some Scrum meetings.
Did you actually back it?
Of course I backed it.
All right. I was just wondering.
I chipped in $1.
All right. That's good.
I think there's $1, right?
There is. There's $1.
Just chip in $1.
Yeah, we were trying to decide, is the Sean Kelly level the highest one or the cheapest one? We're like, you know what?
I think I just answered that question.
I think you just answered that one. So thanks. Thanks there, pal. That's nice of you.
Well, I didn't want to take the highest one because I think that I would want to leave that up to somebody that would certainly appreciate it.
So you wouldn't appreciate it. Wow. I think I get it. I'll take a backhanded compliment. But honestly, the other component I have to say, all jokes aside, the Encoded team organizing, getting things going, making sure we can hit the marketing components, and then everybody who supported it. My friends on Twitter, friends on Facebook, G+, and the gaming and BS community. I mean, the gaming and BS community is what really is driving the thing. That's how I see it. I mean, we have other people who know, and absolutely, and that's for every one of you men, women, and children who listen to this thing. I am dead serious. You folks really, I said, hey, I'm going to do a thing, and I got people have my cell phone. I got texts, I got private messages on Twitter, I got all sorts of things saying, hey, I want that. Oh man, if only I could give you more money. I'm like, stop, don't be careful. It's fine. It's just do what you got to do. And I said this to our patrons, and I'll say it again here, is if you can't, don't want to, or I don't care. If someone in our community says, you know what, I could give a shit about city-based 5e adventures, fine. I still love you. You're still our friend. You're still part of the community, and no harm, no foul. But in my book, but I got
thank goodness, man.
Thank God.
That's great. That's great.
That's the only reason Sean and I are still hanging out.
That was a burden on my shoulders for quite a while there. Now that you've set the record straight, I can finally rest.
Tell me that you're going to yank your $1 pledge as soon as it.
I'm gonna yank my $1 pledge.
Anyway, the community here, the Misdirected Mark community, Hobbs doing his bit. I mean, Chris Steele and Ray Otis and everybody who's just poked it, pimped it, talked about it, and just said, hey, you want to check this thing out. And people have been very kind with, check it out, read it. If you like it, hey, maybe consider backing it. I've not had anybody, no one in any of the communities who are connected to us, Sean, have been asshole supporters. You've seen those people out there. Oh, this is the best thing. They're like over the top, like crazy. Everybody has been very kind and very, very helpful. So again, thanks to everybody who has supported me through this by backing the project. And even those who haven't been able to back it, I've had people contact me and say, I cannot back this. I'm not in a financial position. I'm like, dude, don't even have to tell me that. I don't care. But thank you, because the message after that is always, I really wish I could. I wish you the best of luck. It's cool, man. So it's very humbling. I said that before, and I think I'll continue to say it because it kind of blows my mind. So anyway, enough about that. It's not like you haven't heard that that's happening. Shall we on?
Yeah, let's get on to random encounter. Right. Emails, voicemails, comments from social media. We've got a plethora of them this week. Michael Aldhauser started on Twitter. He said since it was the last episode was Tales from the Loop, Kids on Bikes versus Tales from the Loop. He mentioned WFRP and Zweihander.
Yes, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and Zweihander as their
Do you
next
have-
versus stuff.
I know you have the former.
I do have Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. I almost picked up the newest version of it. It was at my game store in my hometown. I was up there yesterday. I almost grabbed it, but I talked myself out of it. I'm like, I don't know. Wait till after Christmas.
Because somebody might have gotten it.
Yeah, which is possible. And Zweihander, I've been thinking about grabbing anyway off a drive-through. So I don't have Zweihander. So I think that would be one of those where Sean did all the legwork for the other one. If this is going to happen, I'm going to have to go and buy it and do the legwork on this one. So I think it's a worthy topic, most definitely. So I will have to go grab those and put them in the list.
Right. Do you want to read the next one?
Yeah, Angela Murray emailed us. She said, "Hey, Brett and Sean, listen to the latest 2 episodes on Tales. Last episode, good grief, I can't even read. Listen to the last episode on Tales from Loop versus Kids on Bikes. I want to throw my 2 cents in. Well, I haven't run Kids on Bikes yet. I have run Tales from the Loop and Bubble Gumshoe. I also run Masks, which is a teenage supers game. I love the coming-of-age stories that emerge from that style of game. To me, there's just something magical about getting into the head of a character that's crossing that bridge from child to adult, facing the world as they figure out who they are and what they want to stand for, whatever trappings you throw on it. Whether it's mysteries or horror or just adventure, it's still about the kids figuring their place and the world and finding their own power in controlling their lives. For sure, it's a genre that isn't going to appeal to everyone. A guy in my group used to say he had no interest in playing a teenager because he actually had teenagers. He knew that if the world was depending on to save it from doom, we're screwed. I did find it funny, though, that one of the things Brett called out was how frustrating it would be to play a kid and have to deal with none of the adults believing them. Isn't that what Call of Cthulhu games are about? Where no one believes the PCs when they talk about what horrors they saw? The only real difference is the PCs in the Cthulhu game are adults and less constrained by the disbelief of others. Anyway, I'll be bringing some Tales from Loop games to cons this year, so Brett just might get a chance to be forced into a game anyway. Great show as always, Ange. Ange, I do think your Call of Cthulhu, I wouldn't say what they're all about, but what they are about, yes. I think there is some of that, but I think the last piece you had there, the real difference is less constrained by the disbelief of others. If you have a pack of adults and other adults don't believe them, they're not as constrained as children. So that would be, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Absolutely.
All
Sean,
right.
any thoughts from you?
No.
We can't contradict Ange anyway. I mean, she's 99% of the time she's right.
Yeah, she's always right, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, yeah. Carry on. Your turn.
Stefan, Spawn of Dragons. Hello, sexy BSers. First off, I want to congratulate Brett on his Avalon Kickstarter. It's already fully funded, and now there's just the stretch goal gravy to be added. Gravy. Yes, he wrote that. Gravy.
He did. I'm looking at it right now. Gravy.
Now on to the main topic of this email, episode 220, Organized Play. I've never participated in an organized play campaign, but your discussion reminded me of a RPG setting called Torg, released in 1990 that I've played in. It was a great setting where our Earth reality is invaded by multiple other realities, led by very powerful beings called Dark Lords. Insert ominous music. For the purpose of siphoning our world's possibility energy. The mechanics were elegant and handled multiple genres since these invaders' realms were pulled from some of the typical RPG tropes. One reality was fantasy-like, one was horror. There was a spy one, a pulp action one, and even a cyberpunk one with a Catholic Church twist, and a few others. Anyway, the publisher was hoping to get player groups to run some of their modules and write in what happened at the end, mail it to them, and this would affect future products depending on the letters received. Maybe an early attempt at a living campaign. Sadly, this never really took off as the publisher hoped. I'm sure that if this setting had come out later when the internet was much more developed, the input may have been greater and the game would have lasted much longer. There is a rekindled version out now called Torg Eternity. I do not know if there is a living campaign component to this edition, but there does seem to be more support for the game. P.S. Sean, keep an eye on your new dog. He may be trying to kill you by luring you to hazardous places.
I wouldn't say I've trained Sean's dog, but I may have trained Sean's dog. Carry on.
My dog's been influenced. He's a sleeper spy. Keep us the good casting, boys. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year as well. I look forward to the shirtless episode. LOL.
Nice. So I have to say this. Torg is one of those games. When it came out, I saw it. And I was working at a Walden bookstore in a mall. And we had
Walden bookstore?
Yes.
What's that, Brett?
It's an old antiquated idea of in America to have these big shopping malls where people would come in and be trapped like rats, have to buy your shit. Anyway, we would get boxes and boxes of Torg books, box sets, supplements. I think we had everything. And we never moved a single fucking piece. It all sat there. My buddies who were running a comic book gaming shop at the time, they got into Torg because they were like, oh, this could be cool. And I've never met anybody who's played it. I've heard game designers talk about it like it was really cool and it should have gotten better press, whatever, but I've never looked at it. I actually remember being at a Gen Con one time and a bunch of Torg stuff came up in the gamers auction and everybody laughed at it like it was the stupidest damn thing in the world. Might have just been the room at the time. But I think Stefan is absolutely right here. If that would have come out with that concept of a living campaign with social media and the way the interwebs are working now, I think it would have been a hell of a lot bigger success. You know, having that day-to-day regular interface type of thing. But every time I see someone like Dragonspawn bring this up, I'm like, you know what? I got to go find me a copy of Torg Core Rules and read it just to see what the buzz was about that I missed foolishly.
Yeah. Not sure if Torg rings to me, but
it's just one of those things where every time somebody talks about it, like, oh, it's really well done. I'm like, okay, well done. How? I like this. I like that. So maybe I can find a used copy somewhere.
Sounds
read
like
it.
a plan.
Anyhow, let's see. Next up is Matt Bonhoff on Facebook. The thing that impressed me most about Tales from the Loop when I played it was the mundane slice of life scenes felt just as important to the story as the weird science investigation scenes. They get weight, both mechanical and narrative. Another very recent game in this genre is Home by Dark. It's based on Fiasco and definitely built for one-shots. Huh. Now, the thing that Matt says there, I think is the piece that would probably drive me to want to try that game, is the mechanical and narrative components and how the weird science plus the investigation scenes and the slice of life, having that weight component, have it all balance out like that, it would be very interesting to see how it works in play. That would be kind of cool. Have you heard of Home by Dark, the Fiasco?
I have not. I don't think so. I might have seen it mentioned, but I didn't know much about it at all. So
might be another one to add to your list.
Might be, indeed.
Over to you, sir.
Knight Errant Jr. on Reddit, also known as Jared Rasher in real life. Dope. Did I just give it away? Shit.
Poor Jared.
Sorry, Jared. I just doxed you.
Go.
I'm way more interested in Kids on Bikes plus Genre X rather than it kind of being its own genre. Tales from the Loop as a setting doesn't do much for me, and because the setting is the game, I'm not all that excited about it. Kids on Bikes, the game and not the subgenre, is more appealing to me because I've seen a lot of different stories that revolve around 10 to 19-year-olds where adults overall can't or won't solve the issue. You could kind of argue that Nightmare on Elm Street is sort of a kids on bikes movie because you have kids that have to come up with a solution for a problem that their parents left behind. Heck, the other night in the chat room for Misdirected Mark, as they were talking about the game, it struck me that maybe you could even do a kids find a Transformer in the vein of Bumblebee as a kids on bikes story, with the Transformer as the powered character, which we didn't mention. So in Kids on Bikes, there is a one powered character that is implemented into the game, and the players get kind of control of that powered player. Again, Stranger Things 11, check it out. Anyways, moving on. I do think the mechanics could be really swingy given the wide range of DCs and the dice ratings. And having 4 vaguely defined levels of success and failure makes me wonder if I would spend too much time trying to figure out if the failure we came up with was really a bad but not a disaster, or if we really came up with something that was more fails but not too bad. It is definitely a genre where you need buy-in. Just like someone that is going to complain about real astrophysics probably isn't going to enjoy playing space opera, everyone needs to really understand at the outset that adults will not solve problems. Even in the real world, any reasonable human would act on the evidence presented to them. Which is, so I commented to Jared because there is actually, okay, so many of the things that you can do in Tales from the Loop, you can do on Kids on Bikes. And there is an actual adventure for Tales from the Loop that is based on Transformers, more of the toy size Transformers, but there is one. And of course, they can't use the word Transformers, but it's in I forgot what the supplement is that came out with.
It's called GoBots.
Which is the, it could have been actually,
which is the cheaper, shittier version.
But yeah, so there is a scenario that is that's in one of the supplements that in Tales from the Loop. But again, a lot of the stuff you can do in Tales from the Loop, you can do in Kids on Bikes. Absolutely. So thanks for commenting, Jared, on that. I agree.
I think, yeah. Jared's a sharp dude when he lays out stuff like that. And, the Nightmare on Elm Street, yeah. Almost any slasher movie where it's teens in the woods, it's, a lot of that is, that some folks would definitely, X-card the whole kids in peril, Jason's coming to hack you to death with a machete type of gaming. But, yeah, no, I get it. And I do agree as well that the Kids on Bikes choose your own genre or setting is more appealing to me than Tales from the Loop.
You have more, I feel, creative latitude in Kids on Bikes.
I like creating my own settings.
Yeah.
I just do. This is how Avalon came to be and everything else I've built. I don't mind Greyhawk when I play First Ed, but I turn it into my thing. I'm always doing that. And at a certain point, if I was going to do it, I'd be like, I don't want to learn this other setting. I'll make my own. So. Well,
which is fine, but you got to remember part of Kids on Bikes is like 8 questions up front about the town that you're creating.
Yeah, so, no, it's totally fine to do it that way. I have more fun. I would have more fun building that stuff.
I agree.
Than I would trying to learn the other.
I agree. Yeah, so.
Shall we? Let's see here. 0 rules on Reddit.
No, you skipped
one. Did I skip one? Oh, I skipped this other one, and here's why. Tidfisk on Reddit. He says, I'm mostly just sad to learn that Brett hates robots. When AI revolution comes, I guess who we know will be first against the wall.
That's true.
You know who's going to be first against the wall? Motherfuckers who created AI robots. That's what's going to happen.
Those guys man.
Dead. Those men and women dead. I will kill them. That's what will
the
happen.
AI will get them first because they don't want those guys messing around.
Fair enough.
So they'll be gone.
But I do like this next bit. Tidfisk says, maybe that should be his next Kickstarter game. Kickstarter. He can call it Guys in the Woods. And it's all about hunters hiding from the murderous robots. I'd definitely back that. It's a fucking good idea. Still, like Brett, I don't personally have any desire to play a kid in an RPG. Even when I was a kid playing RPGs, I had no desire to play a teenage character. I just didn't identify with them enough. I'm not certain, really. The concept just doesn't appeal to me at all. However, I do enjoy all the 80s movies about kids doing crazy shit. So here's some more inspiration for the 80s for those of you who want to play Kids on Bikes and Tales from the Loop. Flight of the Navigator. That was the one I was trying to think about during the show. Explorers. Daryl, that's an acronym. E.T., I can't believe we didn't bring that one up. Adventures in Babysitting. You get to find out in Adventures in Babysitting that the Kingpin was actually Thor. Pop culture reference. And The Last Starfighter. Love The Last Starfighter. Cool.
There you go. Yeah,
Next.
no, those are good. Those are good.
Very good.
Zero rules on Reddit. I'm with Brett.
Oh, this is making me happy.
Whatever. I don't have a need. I don't have a need for those nostalgia games. Maybe as a one shot just to get a feel for the game mechanics, but as a long-term campaign, hard pass. Even as beautiful as Tales from the Loop is, it's not a game that interests me, especially after having heard a couple of actual plays. Ooh, I would be interested to hear some of those actual plays. That's the thing about actual plays. Like, they're like a good game master or a shitty game master. You watch a bad actual play, oh, that game sucks. And it's like, well, does it? I don't know.
You and I need to have that. That's got to be a topic, dude, is actual plays. Because I've done them now, a couple different ones. And, there's is it more audio drama? Are you trying to do a critical role thing? Are you trying to trying to teach someone? Blah, blah, blah. So anyway, different topic.
Should put that down, Brett.
I would, but every time I type, you get mad at me. So you have to. Because you say I click too loud, I type too loud.
Yeah,
so
Brett's
I
over.
can't.
Every time I do an episode, and I'm sure some of you might have heard it, there's like this mouse clicks during the silence. Brett's
because I just go.
Yeah, look at that dickhead. All right.
There we go. I need a new mouse. I need a new mouse for Christmas. That's what I need now.
Yeah, now he does.
Now I do.
All right. The genre isn't for me because there's no fantasy in the literal sense in these games. I've been a kid/teen, and there's no need to go back to that again. Fair. Fine.
Fair. Absolutely.
Fine. Then join the Brett Club.
I like zero
And you
rules.
guys just go and do real fantasy RPG stuff.
We'll go in the woods and shoot AI that's coming to kill us.
There you go.
All right, so what else is next? Oh, yes, Mr. Pemberfoot on Twitter. All right, here, I'm going to type a little bit here right now. Just a second. There we go. A couple more clicks. And Brett, oh my God, imagine a group of kids who discover that creepy house down the street is actually full of vampires who just moved into the neighborhood. That explains all the missing kids and parents from town. Who wouldn't want to play that? I feel playing kids has a greater effect of fear being introduced more to the players themselves when presented with challenges and obstacles. What may seem easy for adults can be a challenge for kids, and it makes the bigger world all that much scarier. Add monsters and, well, there you go. That is a fair point, Mr. Pemberfoot. I mean, when you take something that would be annoying to us, a police officer who pulls you over for speeding is annoying. A police officer that has you and your buddies pulled over when you're 10 on your bicycles, and he's asking you what you're doing, how come you're out past curfew, and where's your mom? There's a level of terrifying that hits you there that is no longer annoying, right?
And the police officer is a vampire.
Of course he is.
Right. Or
Yes.
a werewolf. Or whatever.
Or a vampiric werewolf.
Yeah. See, Brett, it's the world's endless.
The world is indeed endless.
Endless.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, everybody, thanks for writing in and commenting. We appreciate it. Absolutely. Whether you're on Team Brett or Team Sean, that's cool.
Yeah,
Hey,
and whether you're right
cool.
or you're wrong, it's all good.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's get into the main topic.
Moving on.
All right, Brett.
Yes. I'm waiting.
I wanted
expected bated breath. Yeah. Sean.
I wanted to come together and develop or present a questionnaire of some kind to players that maybe you've never played with before. It's not going to be at a con game. It may be long term, so it may be extending past 4 sessions.
So instead of the luxury I have, like this last weekend when I'm gaming with my crew of 20 plus years, they know who I am. They know how I run.
Right.
Brand new people.
Right.
They know nothing of Brett or Sean or anybody out there. They don't
Correct.
know Ange. They don't know Pemberfoot. They don't know how the hell these men and women run.
Right.
What is it that you're going to do?
Right. So if you're going to run a game and you wanted feedback from the players, now this could be done
Wait. Feedback? This is post or pre?
pre.
Okay.
Yeah, you haven't kicked off anything.
But you're going to
It could
say...
be our Patreon, Brett. Patreon. It could be like, hey, I'm going to run games for patrons.
And if you said, hey, I want a high death toll, there's no resurrection magic because it's a D&D game. You want that type of stuff?
Well, you want to gain feedback from the players so that if you were to run a game for them, that they would appreciate or have you would have as a game master some insight into some of their gaming preferences. Now,
so what
I'm saying here, Brett, is instead of just showing up to the game and going, "This is Brett's game,"
no, I hear you.
I'm going to run
this
Avalon
in this way. Buckle up,
and all you people,
yeah,
better be all on board.
Okay,
this is how I'm going to roll.
So I guess I see this as two different things, though. That if I'm going to get a questionnaire out there, a questionnaire would be, what do you want me to do for you? Versus an information error or a pamphlet. I like everything. Can I subscribe to your newsletter? A pamphlet that says, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Buckle up, right? It's kind of like a preparatory, hey, we're going to play in this game. Sean's going to run Swords and Wizardry. What's he running? I'm going to run Midderlands. I'm going to run whatever. Here's how we're going to do this. So you're actually thinking, I was thinking more in that vein, but now that I actually look at the phrase questionnaire, which you clearly wrote and I read because I'm a dumb shit. It's interesting to do this because it's also kind of dangerous because working in corporate America, people say, well, I gave you feedback. How come you didn't take my feedback into account? I gave you feedback. How come you didn't change that slide deck? And sometimes you're like, because your feedback was stupid and I'm not fucking doing that.
So what you're saying is that you would get feedback that's stupid.
You could potentially get stupid feedback. Take that out. I mean, no, literally, you could get bad feedback. And when I say stupid equals bad, not that the person is dumb, but you could get feedback that's like, I only play White Wolf games. I will not play any game with you that's not a White Wolf game. You're like, oh, okay, that's what do you want me to do? So I think the trick to a questionnaire is soliciting information that is actionable, right?
Right.
It's like doing a survey. Do you like stuff and things? No. Okay. That's of no use type of. It's tricky, is what I'm saying.
Yes, you can do. You could call it survey, player survey, if you want to frame it that way. So I think the semantics. I get where you're coming from. You're absolutely right.
Open-ended questions that have the potential to provide unactionable results is tantamount to stupid/useless/bad data. There's nothing you can do with that.
No, I agree. I'm with you. That's why you have to do it the right way.
Yes. So how would you do that to avoid such a problem?
Well, that's a perfect question, Brett. I am interested to find out elements of a game that a player finds appealing. Now, I would probably put this out there and say, even though I'm obtaining feedback from you, doesn't necessarily mean that everything that you are going to say that you want is going to happen. And I think most players are probably going to be pretty good with that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think this is where the multiple choice type of thing comes in pretty handy.
Right.
Where you can have 4 plus an other. You can always have an other column or something that wasn't quite captured. But you could say, do you prefer hard sci-fi, space opera, this, and this? And someone may say, well, I really would rather have Star Wars. I don't really know what genre that fits in. So that's a great idea to have an other there. So someone could say, yes, I like sci-fi, but I don't know how to classify this because not everybody is hip on classifying certain things. And so I think sometimes, and the other thing that multiple choice does is then from you as the game master, lets you put down saying, I am willing to operate within constraints similar to these, or I'm willing to work with options along these lines. And that lets everybody know that I'm willing to give, like, hey, there's fantasy, there's sci-fi, and there's modern spy. I would like to run something like that. Which of these would you prefer? That type of a very simple question. But I think by creating a multiple choice in certain components of it, you as the game master are saying, I'm willing to play within this sandbox. Let's find the dinosaurs together.
Yeah, there are a lot of ways you can set up the questions so that it even tailors some of your own preferences. So you could say, well, let's see. I'm a game master and I'm Brett, and I want to run Call of Cthulhu, Avalon, or Warhammer Fantasy. Rank the following to your preference: Avalon, Warhammer Fantasy, Call of Cthulhu, right?
Yeah,
or whatever,
got it.
right?
Mhm.
I mean, so you can do it in that. You could frame it up that way, absolutely. So that way, not only are the players going to be vested, but the game master is going to not be running something they've never done before.
Yeah, no, I want you to run Space Opera 1890 whatever.
1889.
1889. Thank you. Okay,
Right.
I want to play Lady Blackbird. Lady Blackbird. Fuck. Okay.
Well, and now, did you come up with any? Have you started or anything? Did you do any of this?
No, I started noodling on it. I was up in my home group, excuse me, gaming this weekend, and one of the things, Alpha wrapped up his 5e Temple of Elemental Evil game. Got through that, and I said, I want to run something. They said, what do you want to do, fantasy again? I said, well, I have two different ideas I'd like to do. I'll put some information together, and I'll send it to you. So this is how I work with my group.
Right.
And I thought, I don't know if that's even portable, because normally what I do with my group is I say, here's the idea, here's the pitch for the game, the system I'm going to use to say it, and to help tell it, excuse me. And then here's the other thing, same breakdown. Vote.
But this is running for people you don't play with 20 years, bro.
I think you can still do that, though. You could still say, you could do that. But what you're trying to do here, what I'm doing, which is why I was saying I don't think that works, is at least not in the questionnaire perspective, because what I'm trying to do here is not just find out what you want me to do, but I want to know what you're looking to get. Because you can say, sure, I like Call of Cthulhu, but I really like Gaslight Call of Cthulhu. Or I like modern Call of Cthulhu. I prefer Delta Green versus this other, the 1920s or 30s. Oh, okay. So I think the key here for this questionnaire is pulling from the player, what is it you're about? And some of those things are the obvious, like, hey, I don't like kids in peril. I don't like torture. I don't like those X-Cartable type of things. Maybe that's a piece of it. But I think even beyond that is saying, what do you like? I really don't like Powered by the Apocalypse games. Okay. But I like other story games versus D&D. I like these other types of things. So I think that's kind of more what you're going on. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. So I started noodling on it on the drive up and on the drive back this morning. And I'm like, man, I don't know where to start, honestly, because everybody I've gamed with, apart when I'm gaming with absolute strangers, it's been a gaming convention.
Right.
And they know what the game is because they signed up for it. So they walk in and I say, okay, you read the pitch, you read the system it's supposed to be, you're the proper age group, and you're here at the time slot appropriately. Here we go. But even then, you're trying very quickly to find out what people like or don't like on the fly. If you actually want to run a campaign like you and I want to do with some of our Patreon backers, where even if it's a short campaign, I want to be able to figure this stuff out quickly. Or at least do something to elicit that feedback so I can craft it into the wonderful narrative that everyone will experience.
Right. And we can make notes of this and then put them up for anybody to use. I came up with a few. I don't know if they're all necessary. One.
Well, hit me. Let's go over what you've got, because everything I had was conceptual in my head. And I'm like,
right.
I know, Sean, this was your topic. And I know you've done some homework on it. So what have you got? And if nothing else, if we post it and people say, good start, but hey, here's 20 more questions, bravo, thank you, men and women of Gaming and BS, because we could use the help.
Now, it can be really long, but be very succinct and short and to the point. So you could have a lot of questions, but they could be a lot of yes, no, rate it 1 to 5, right down the row. Otherwise, you can make it more comprehensive, very open-ended questions. So the approach that we're taking is not the be all end all by any means, for sure.
No.
It all depends on what you're wanting to get, what you as a game master or facilitator of a game wants to get from the players, so that, and whatever your purpose is for getting that info. So one of the things I brought up was the name, which in some people might say it's optional, but I would say it's not, because if you get the person's name, then you know who's wanting what they are providing.
Yes, I mean this is not.
It shouldn't be anonymous.
This should not be. This is not an anonymous survey to find out if Gaming BS sound quality is what you think it should be.
Right.
This is, I need to know who you are and what you,
right,
sir and or madam or whomever, I need to know what you want to do. So if, we got Janet, Stacy, Bill, Wayne, Joe, whatever, I need to know what it is you want, and I need to know who you are so I can understand it.
Right. And these are not in any particular order.
Fair enough.
I think you can frame them in different orders, narrow it down, maybe be kind of funnel approach. But nonetheless, we'll just go through some of them. And then Brett and I can even critique them and say, I don't know if that would even make sense or if it would provide any value.
Fair enough. Let's go.
Okay. One of the other ones I had was most recent games you've played and why.
Good question.
Games, and I would probably just say games. Some people would say, well, system or whatever, but I would say just game. Leave it out there. Boom, bomb.
I would also add
top 3 or whatever.
What you played, why, and what did you like and what did you not like if you want to go deeper. Or did you have fun, yes or no, type of thing. Because you could have someone who says, I played Savage Worlds.
Right.
Fun, yes. I played D&D, fun, no.
Right.
Which is why if I know it's Janet or I know it's Bob or Sue, I can be like, hey, Bob, you said you didn't have fun there. Was it the Game Master? Was it the group? What didn't you like? I can now ask a follow-up question that's much more personal to you versus trying to capture every individual follow-up question on a questionnaire, because then the thing becomes 20 pages long. But okay.
Top 3 games you would like to play but never had the opportunity, and why?
Oh, okay. So someone says, I really want to play that Pendragon game. Why? I don't know. It just seems interesting. I've never had a chance.
Right.
Done and done.
I've heard that it's good, or I've heard that it has this weird or this cool mechanic.
Yeah, I love Arthurian legends and the concept of families and knighthoods.
Right.
All good.
Sounds great. Because another thing about some of these questions, Brett, is that so your example, exactly that. I love Arthurian knights and legends and family and blah, 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 and the growing to be a king or whatever. If you got that info, you may still be able to use that, even though you're not going to run Pendragon.
Yeah, this is almost, no, all of this stuff is good. It's good info.
Right.
On what kind of player you have and what they want out of their game.
Exactly.
All right. What else you got?
3 games that do not interest me are
Kids on Bikes, Tales from the Loop. No, I mean, seriously, though, if I said, hey, I don't want to play these, you'd be like, oh, why? I'm not interested in that. Oh, okay. What else don't you want? Well, I think it's just as important to know what's out and what's in. I have had people say they will never play horror games because they do not like the feeling of helplessness and so forth. They love a more heroic approach. They don't like how horror makes them feel. Legitimate. I would rather know that than say, hey, I'm going to run this Pendragon thing and have horror aspects in it, or something that would terrify them, or make them feel less than empowered, or whatever the case is. So that's good to know.
Now the following I had more ranking. So 5 would be the most important. 1 would be the least important. So now you're getting more of a scale and range, which allows you to hone in on, because then it allows the player not to be hard and fast.
I like the idea of 1 to 5 versus the 1 to 10. And the reason is the tighter it is, the better in this.
Well, some people will say that you don't have an odd number. So there isn't always the middle. Like, I'm in the middle. I don't know. That would be me and the depends thing, right?
Yeah.
Because it always will put you on one side or the other regardless. But in some of these, I think there is genuinely, it really doesn't matter to me.
Well, there are plenty of people. No, when you say it depends, we give you shit for that, right? But you look at me and go, I don't know. I don't care.
Right.
We've talked about this off the mic.
I don't care.
Well, no, we've talked about
it's dependent upon something else, maybe.
Yeah, we've talked about it off the mics. And you're like, I'd play that. the reason it depends is because if I have a shitty group of players, I don't want to play that game.
Right.
That game sounds like I need a really good group of people to play it. I don't want to play Fiasco with my drunk racist uncle, right? It's just, it depends, type of thing.
Right.
So I get you.
So, first one would be, I want my games to have action.
Good question.
All right. Next one would be, I want, say, I put the GM narrative, but that may be more leading than anything, because sometimes when you do surveys, you obviously don't want to lead as much either. But then I don't know if it really gives. We're not doing freaking data science over here.
No, we are not data mining it. We are not.
But what I want, say, in the narrative, I guess, for the most part.
That's fine.
Maybe that needs to be defined, because somebody may say, well, I don't know what that means.
Well, you and I had an episode a long time back. We might have to drag it back out and rehash it. But the idea of where some people will not and are not comfortable with the barroom brawl breaks out. Is there a bottle nearby? Yes. Can I grab it? Yes. Other people, like when I play with Chris Nizak and that crew, Chris would be like, I grab a bottle off a table nearby. I'm like, you got it, done. I've played with many other men and women who will not take that ownership. They just don't. They don't want it.
No, they'll say, you're the game master. You're supposed to tell me what's there.
Yeah, and two legitimate forms of play, but some people do not like one at all.
Right.
Good question, I think.
I prefer the game master to depict all the setting and results.
We just talked about that.
Right.
Okay, good.
Rules as written, 5, like rank that as a 5, or up to interpretation, ranking it as a number 1.
Got it.
Right. So that goes to,
this is the Brett versus Sean scale.
Are you more of an OSR person, or are you more of a, hey, that's not how that works?
Yeah.
I want my games to be insert feel and then like 3 descriptors. So maybe it's high action, heroic, fantasy, whatever.
Got it. Okay.
That's pretty loose, and that can be very broad.
It's a start, though. You can look at that question and go, I don't want to tweak it. No, that's a good option to tweak. Okay.
I don't mind disturbing content.
Good to know. Yeah.
Right. Metagaming. 5 is necessary. 1 is unacceptable.
Ah, okay.
Characters are powerful starting out.
Do you like the level crawl? The grind, as some have called it.
The subsequent question is characters start simple and frail and grow powerful. But I think you could combine those two.
You could, yep, absolutely.
Interplayer conflict.
PvP action. Do we like it or not?
Right. Most important or least important.
Mm-hmm.
And then there could be quite a few more. That's just 10 of them right there. One of the other, so moving on from more of the less ranking, more ranking kind of thing. And some of these can be on a scale as well, or they could be yes or no, what have you. I didn't really define that. I want my background to be part of the game.
I feel like you're mining all our previous episodes, which is good because we've talked about that too. Like, that's a damn good piece, because if that is the thing that you have to have, even if the answer is yes, but, or it depends, or however you want to do it, if you scale it, that helps. But no, that's a damn good question to ask.
Well, it was gonna be multiple choice. One would be most definitely, and then the next one would be, it would be nice but not a must. Then the last one would be, it's not necessary. The past is the past.
No, that's, again, there's more. Yeah, even if you send this out, and Brett says back, Sean, I don't know what you mean by this one.
Right.
That's perfect, because I have now elicited responses from you that you want to talk to me about the game itself before we even start playing. I mean, the whole purpose here is engagement pre-game.
Right.
So we have a conversation, and that we don't just show up cold and find out through play that we are incompatible in some way.
Right. Next one, I have played an online game. Yes or no?
Yeah, especially even if that isn't the original option or go-to, because Sean and I have talked about, well, I work in Madison. He lives and works in Madison. We could do a game together. We'd easily get together. Wayne's in town. We could do that. 3 of us could get together every week or every other week and play. Well, what happens when it's a snow day and Brett lives an hour from Madison? If that's isn't an option. So yeah, I think that's a legitimate way to go.
The online tabletop or virtual tabletop I am most familiar with is, obviously, if they said no, they've never played, well, then it's not applicable. But
yep.
The 2 days that work best for me are, or you could say, I'm only going to run 1 day a week. So what is the best day for you? I think 2, maybe 3, if you can flex 3. I don't know. This is around more scheduling. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got to get it figured out.
Right.
Because if you find out everything's great except Brett can only play on Monday nights. Nobody else can. Sorry, Brett. May have to happen. And then, better to find it out and better to find this out now than 2 sessions in when everybody's arguing about when they're going to play.
And then there's the times, of course. But I think that's pretty simple and straightforward. I think I don't know, I kind of ended there. I know there's probably tons of more questions you can pitch towards your players. So some of the things that I wanted to kind of address was, we didn't get into a ton of play style. We touched on it a little bit, right? Can I have narrative? Do I not have narrative? When I think you start asking questions like this, because I'm a recruiter, when you start asking questions like this, regardless of how poignant you're getting and how direct to the point you're getting, it is going to build a narrative around the player and what they're really wanting to get into.
Absolutely. And then it helps me, if I were to do that, I don't have a 20+ year group to lean on. I say, hey, ask these questions up front. And then I could say, hey, thank you very much. Based on the feedback the 5 of you gave me this questionnaire, here are the 2 games I'd like to pitch you. I'm now pitching a game in writing or verbally or however that I think should tickle all their fancies in the right way. And when someone says, Brett, you're saying Call of Cthulhu, but I said I really don't like this. No, remember, Sean, you had mentioned that you would like a modern game, and I'm thinking about Delta Green. Delta Green is modern. Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay, all right, yeah, I could. So I'm building my pitch based on this info from you. So I look at it and say, I've got this really good idea for a Amber Diceless role-playing game campaign. Turns out nobody gives 2 shits about Amber Diceless role-playing. No one cares about that type. I look at my questionnaire and I'm like, I don't think this is going to fly.
The one game that everybody doesn't ever want to play
is listed as Amber. Okay, that out. Well, the game that everybody wants to play is Warhammer Fantasy Role-Playing First Edition. Hey, bam, I am in. If you have something like that, you could say, well, I'm going to pitch this game because it is the bulk of the people like it, and it's not on Brett's I'll never play it list. Or here's a game that I think would cover everybody's stuff evenly enough, or blah, blah, blah. But this would definitely inform a campaign or a game pitch out to a group of players that I'm very unfamiliar with. I like the idea, man. Because I think it's a good way, even if it doesn't. Again, we're not data mining. We don't have a data architect here to help me pull together a big Oracle database. We can crunch through this and find out how it all functions. The idea is to start a conversation, and I think the other component of this is to have the conversation not just in the questionnaire. And say, hey, I'm going to give you this, and then we're going to get together and talk about it, or ask me any questions you have in addition to this. Making yourself open to a verbal discussion or an email discussion, or however you're discussing it, even if it's a part of the session 0 discussion, but some way to say, I'm not just taking this blank piece of paper and whatever you put down is the only way I'm going to craft this. This is it. If you have questions outside these 10, I don't fucking care. No, that's not true. Here's something to get us started. This is going to start the conversation. And the more questions and things you ask and answer back and forth, I think just the stronger the relationship will be. between you and your players. And the other key is that once you've got this, you have to be honest with it and you have to use it. Because if you get this great feedback and I say, I'm going to play this, and Sean's like, I told you I'd never wanted to play Star Wars.
Right.
You're like, no, but we're going to play Star Wars. I have to come to you and say, look, everybody else wants to play Star Wars but you, Sean. I have to have that conversation with you before we get to our actual sessions here, before we're making characters, before we take the next step. I need to be able to come to you and say, hey, man, of the 6 people, you're the only person who does not want to play Star Wars. Are you willing to do that? No, I honestly hate it. It's okay. I'm that's fine. If everybody else wants to, I guess you guys play without me or whatever. It may cause a hard conversation like that where somebody doesn't play for whatever reason, but it would be worse for you to show up and say, well, I have all this great feedback. You guys give me a great questionnaire, info and so on, crumple, chuck over shoulder, but we're going to do whatever the fuck I want anyway. We don't even like to play Champions. Why are we playing Champions? You know, you've got to use it. And that's where, kind of joking, kind of frustrated, in corporate America, one of the things that happens is you create something, you send it to your boss for feedback or other people. I want to see what you're going to do. I want to see this presentation. I want to see this thing. And sometimes the feedback is terrible in that regard. But what we're looking at here is I'm trying to get at you and what you want. So it isn't like, I don't think your font is big enough. You use the letter E too much. Could you thicken the periods? This has too many pictures, not enough words. Too many words, not enough pictures. You know, that's not the problem here. This is a conversation that you want to start. And having that conversation, you have to keep it open, honest, and use the data because you're asking for it. If I give this to you and say, I will never do this, but I will always do this other thing, Sean, you got to use that, right? I mean, that's, what the fuck would be the point of doing this if you're not going to listen?
So having said all of what we put out there, or what I put out there and pitched to you, Brett, do you find there's anything else that you would want to put, that you would want to pose?
Let me think.
So as Brett's thinking of that, I'm going to bop over to something else.
Go for it.
Because Brett can think and listen to me on this other topic at the same time. It's actually not another topic. I thought I brought this up before on another episode way early on. And it was driving me crazy because part of what I wanted was this site to be more inspirational as it relates to this topic. And it was GM style badges. And that was designed, I think, by somebody that went by the name of Lorc, Lorc. Fortunately, somebody said, hey, this is what you're looking for. Because I'm like, I can't remember where it is, who it was. I can't find it. And somebody on Twitter actually said, here it is. And it was Dancing Christmas Lights at Light Press actually found my tweet. And I don't even think they follow me. I don't know how it came up, but they're like, here. Got me to Elthos RPG. .blogspot.com. There they are. There's the badges. It's the GM badges that I recall. And the GM badges, what it used to be and what they really are is if I'm a game master, I can select these badges. And by looking at these badges, you'll be able to tell what game style and game master I am. And they're broken down into 2 real categories, story aspect and mechanics. And they were nice enough to keep the badges and put them up there along with what the badge actually signifies. And some of the story aspects are my games will tell an interesting story. My games will be scary. So if the badge doesn't apply, you don't include it. But the goal is to have kind of a 4 kind of badges, one next to the other. And then by looking at them, you can tell what kind of game master they are. My games focus on exploration and mystery. My games are gonzo and can include a lot of strangeness. Characters in my games are destined for greatness, not random death. My games include disturbing content. My games focus on interesting characters and drama. And then my games are more of the social, fun, and beer and pretzel style. And then the last one under story side is my games are safe and you don't need to worry about content or character death. So I think if you were gearing questions towards those, you could come up with some pretty good ones too.
You know, actually, in that that actually more succinctly ties in what I was thinking of adding while you were talking there was I want to make sure when I give the questionnaire, somewhere within there, I also say a little bit about me, because otherwise it's very blind. You're joining Brett. Tell me about you. I should also tell you about me. And I think that type of, even using that approach, saying, hey, I'm going to fill in the dots of all the things I like to do. I will run games of these styles or this type, or this is, I think this is where it really pays to be very honest and say, I mean, honesty is the best policy, just ask my mother. But the point is that if you have if you like to game master a certain way, you know, characters are like tissue paper, soft, strong, or disposable. Fine. You know, they're squishy bits that scream and bleed when you stab them. Or if you're a person that's like, look, I'll never kill you unless the story demands your death. I think it's very important to not say, well, I could run a game like that. Yeah, I could do that for you. Do not, at least this is my advice, do not tell a group of new players, like, yeah, I can do that for you if you really don't like doing it.
Right.
You know, if everybody wants to play Marvel superheroes, and I do not give two shits about superhero RPGs, and say, well, yeah, I could run that for you. If your heart is not in this, not now. Once you've built a rapport with this group of 4, 5, 6 individuals, and you look at those folks and say, hey, folks, I'd like to stretch my GMing. You guys all express some interest in superheroes. I'd be willing to try it. I've never run it before. I really don't normally like it, but with this group, we built a rapport. If you're with me, I'll try to run one for you.
Right.
This is your first time with this group of people. Now's not a really good time to say, hey, bear with me while I stretch my legs and figure out if I even know how to run this genre, style, format that I don't know. Not a good idea. So I think lead with, these are my strong suits. This is how I run it. They have a little bit about you and a little bit about them.
So the other mechanical orientation, some of the questions or some of the badges that align with that are, my game focuses on player skill rather than character abilities. My game is primarily non-combat in nature. My game has shared GMing responsibility with the other players. I roll dice in the open and don't fudge the results in my games. I play by the book, and Rule 0 is not being used to alter existing rules.
Mm-hmm.
I frequently tinker with the rules of the game. Tactics are an important part of my games. Players in my game should be prepared to run when the odds are against them.
If you took those questions and you changed it to, as a player, I like to be able to run when the odds are against me. I don't need balance. If you took those questions and flipped the terminology and focal point, it would totally work for that too.
Yeah. There will be player versus player combat allowed in my games. I will mirror back player ideas I think are interesting in the game. My games use a pre-made map and pre-scripted content. That'd be me. Not always.
Well, some people don't like it. Oh,
Right.
we're playing an adventure. Oh, I hate that. Some people don't like store-bought adventures for whatever reason.
My games rely on a lot of improvisation rather than pre-scripted content. The GM is in charge in my games, and Rule 0 is in effect.
There you go.
Player character's death is a likely event in my games. And then the last one, my game is more enjoyable when I keep my GMing style unknown.
What?
I don't know.
What? No, it's interesting though, because I say that like, what? And now it dawns on me, no, I know people like that.
Now, there's a grid that they display on that website where you go story across the top and then mechanics down the side. And then you there's yellow, pink, and green kind of a matrix. They call it the GM style badges matrix.
Interesting.
But I thought it was pretty cool. We'll definitely have a link in the show notes to those. I think they'd be really cool if you were on Roll20 and you were looking for players and you had that badge system.
Yeah, I mean, just to be able to, if you're hanging your shingle out, it's nice for people to say, oh, this is who you are and this is what you do. And basically, it is interesting when people will want that information from a game master regularly, but not all the time do they come up and say, hey, this is how I like to play. And I think I've met a number of people who will, but I think having a player questionnaire like that from a game master's perspective when you're running with a new group shows a level of care, concern, consideration, and seriousness that you're putting towards what you're going to be creating. You know, it's not a convention game.
Right.
They didn't pay $50 to get in the door, pay the $4 for the ticket, sit down because they knew it was a 5e Adventures League game or whatever it is. Or like, yep, never played this before. I'm willing to see how it goes. They're actually saying, I'm going to commit every Tuesday at 6 o'clock to play with you. This is a hobby commitment, right? It's like friends of mine that are big sports folks. You know, hey, I got in a good intramural group for volleyball. I dropped out of that golf league and I moved over to a different one because I couldn't stand the fuckers I was playing with. Men and women who are into that thing, bowling leagues, whatever you're doing, people will look for a group that they're compatible with. Softball teams, whatever. You try to find a group of men and women and folks you can game with that you're compatible with. And this is one way for us to help do that. I think it's a damn good idea, Sean. I'm glad you brought this up.
Now, many people may say that's too formal. I'd rather just sit around and just hammer this out, kind of pitch a game, get everybody to agree with the game, because the game master's got to be bought into the game as well. So not everybody can go, hey, we all want to play Star Trek, and the game master's kind of going,
this is a tool in the toolbox.
Right.
And some people may see it as the all-purpose hammer that they use for everything. Some people are like, yeah, that's a Torx head wrench, man. I don't use that often.
Right.
You may never use it. You know, maybe that spanner that just sits there, you're like, I don't even know why I have that. But it might work. And is it worth trying? Yeah, give it a shot. You're like, boy, that was really formal. Everybody thought it was stupid. Okay, throw it out. Maybe just keep it as crib notes to help guide a conversation you have. Do that. And if nothing else, perhaps just putting the thought into it so that when you're asking questions, you're asking, I guess, the right questions or trying to ask better questions as opposed to, so I'll just say this, is that I know that through force of personality, I can get a group to do certain things.
Brett's charisma.
No, it's just when
He's got Jedi mind trick.
No, when you're in charge of a thing, people will give you, well, take that as an authority. I've noticed this all the time at work.
Well, so Brett is going to end up being, he's going to start doing the public speaking circuit.
Oh yeah,
he's going to start giving advice about like, here's how you leadership style and coaching.
Yeah, don't do it Brett's way. You get yelled at. You get yelled at for swearing. Anyway,
here's how you get a Kickstarter.
But when you're I
successful.
did one. I was part of one, so that therefore I kick ass at this forever. Monty should be listening to me. That's what I'm saying.
Brett B. Podcaster, publisher, director, project manager, doing the circuit.
Let me tell you how it's done, kids.
Brett's done a Kickstarter. He's a published author.
Stop.
He's a project manager.
Oh my God.
Anyway, all the credentials, like you be on stage, people would be foolish not to listen to you.
No, they'd be foolish not to go find the bar. Anyway, point is that when you sit down at a table and you're listening to the person, like, hey, I signed up to play this game with Sean. Through basically force of personality, position, whatever you want to call it, I'm going to run this game. I'd like to run these two things. And you passionately display something like, oh, I'm in. And because I think we are very used to as a gaming community, we'll figure out as we go along if we have a player in the group that sucks or whose style is totally not compatible. I used to do this with my home group when we were kind of flexing in size. We would have a number of people who want to come and play Vampire with us or whatever. And we forced people to audit a game. You had to show up and sit through a game and you couldn't play. I wanted you to see this is how I run and this is how the group plays. And I had people come and say, wow, I don't think I want to play in that group. It was really cool, but I don't think I can do that. It wasn't like we were better. It was like, this is how we're doing it and we're not changing it for you. Was kind of that's the hard ass way to look at it. But like, look, at the time, I'm like, there's 10 to 13 people playing. If one of them dropped out because he went to college or somebody moved, we had a space for someone to slide into this vampire game. We're like, look, this is how we run. y'all don't like gaming like this, it's not going to change.
Well, that's what we do at where I work. They'll bring somebody in and say, hey, here's the situation. So when we recruit people to work for the firm that I work for, the second step in the process is, all right, we're going to have you come in and observe for like an hour. Because if you observe people doing what you're going to be doing and that doesn't jive with you, then it's not a role for you.
Yeah, you show up, everybody's in shirt and tie and a sport coat at their desk.
Making 20 calls, 30 calls.
Wow, wait, you're telling me that these 30 men and women are just cold calling people.
Right.
While they're dressed like they're going to church. Really?
Right. We're not like that anymore, but we used to be really like every day suit and tie, man.
I'm just saying, if you could walk in there and go, yeah, that's not for me.
Right, exactly. Boom, let's just cut to the chase. It is not for you. Have a nice day.
You can do that online. You can get together and say, hey, we got an opening. You want to watch?
Right.
Hang out. Not everybody's up for that or hip to that, but it's another tool in the box when you're trying to recruit new players. I show you something about me. You show me something about you. How do you like to do this? What do you like to do? So even if the questionnaire isn't the thing you use or you just use it to guide, you think it's the dumbest goddamn idea you've ever heard of. Point is that it's another tool potentially in your toolbox. Pull it out. Give it a shot. It might help you out. And as a player, if you look at those types of things or think about what you really want out of a game, you can bring that stuff proactively to the game master and say, hey, just so you know, I filled this out for you. Or, hey, just so you know, this is how I like to game. Are we cool with that? And the person sitting next to me like, yeah, that's fine. Lady across the table, they're like, I don't like horror at all. What's that? Oh my God, Samantha hates horror. I had no idea she hated that. Well, we've never played a horror game with her, ever. Shit, have we ever played horror? But, it's a conversation starter. And we've joked about this many times, but it's a social activity. And sometimes we're not the most social people. And it's just another tool.
So here's what I'd like to see happen to wrap this up.
Yeah.
We will post all the questions that I have that we've kind of gone over.
And the link to the GM badge site.
A link to the GM badge site. But if you find that we are missing 2, 3, I don't expect anybody to say, oh man, maybe somebody's done this already and they're like, oh, I've already done this. Here's my version, which is great.
Well, if we miss something, if there's better language tweaks, if there's better ways to ask the question, hit us, man.
Or if you have other ones that you would find appealing and why, I have no problem adding it to the list, building it as a comprehensive list, and then actually putting out in a survey to everybody to fill out, voluntarily, of course, but to take all, everybody's feedback, put it in a questionnaire, put it online through Google, and share the results. And what I would probably do is keep that anonymous, but if everybody was interested to find out, like, who's more interested in the GM, I want more narrative than typical GMs or GM fiat games, or I want, rules as written versus up to interpretation. I'd be interested just to get like overall community feedback to see what that looked like.
I like the idea, man. Let's do it.
So we'll do that. We'll give it a little while. But if it's one question or you don't have any, or you're like, oh, you totally got to involve these, as long as they're not overly duplicate, I don't want to rehash same questions, different semantics.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be interesting to put out there. And if everybody wants to partake, great. There's no wrong answers. It just gives you it would be nice to have player profiles. Like, here's my player profile. And it was always standard and you could that's why I think the badges are pretty cool for GMs. But what would it be? A player profile. Here's my player profile. And I'd be like, oh, sweet. You score, right up my alley. We're like compatible.
Yeah.
We're like eHarmony for gamers. Wouldn't that be something?
Yes.
All right. Die roll. We might as well just skip this week, Brett.
Yeah, man. I think we're going to have what we just talked about. It's plenty. I don't have anything newer than that. Other than last plug, Kickstarter, Streets of Avalon.
Yeah.
There's link in the show notes.
It ends what day does it end, Brett?
Oh, good Lord. We are done in 24 days. This ends January 17th at 7:58 Central Standard Time.
January 15th.
17.
January 17, 2020. 2019.
Yep, 2019. And we are funded. We're actually slightly over 200% funded, which is awesome. And one more time, thank you to everyone out there who's heard me talk about this on this show. I know I am dead positive the Gaming BS community is the main driving force behind helping to get the word out and talking to people about it and so on. You folks are awesome. So thank you very much. I appreciate all the support. Even if you are like, look, it's not my thing, but you told somebody, as Sean and I have said, even if you listen to us and you think, man, those guys are idiots, but you told your friend, like, you like idiots. Here's two guys who are also idiots. And just thank you. You guys are awesome.
All right. And if you are listening to this episode later than January 17th, 2019, you just have to go to DriveThruRPG and buy it.
Correct. It'll be available there.
Next episode in the schedule, I have Detect Evil.
You thinking the power?
The spell, the power. Like,
this is interesting because, I like it.
It's a pain in the freaking ass to me.
It is. Remember your paladins back in the day? Wander the streets. How many experience points do I need for next level, Sean? You're 10 short. I detect evil. I find the nearest miscreant. I kill him. There.
I haven't played with anybody that bad.
Oh, I have. You should have game with some of my high school buddies. I detect evil. He's evil. Fuck him. What? Hey, I need the experience points. What are you going to do?
All right. Well, thanks for everybody. Happy holidays. Happy 2018. The next episode, I think, is going to be dropping in I think will be just around the first of the year. So if we don't get another one in before the first of the year, have a happy holiday season and a great new year.
Yep, absolutely. Enjoy, folks. Be safe. Have fun.
This episode of Gaming in BS brought to you with the help from the following BSers. Hawk Sparrow, Andy Hall, Corey Wynn, Graham Minert, Brian Kurtz, Larry Hout, Mark Tasaka, Pure Mongrel, C.W. Mellencamp, Chris Steele, Ron Bishop, Thomas Hook, Wayne Humfleet, Craig, Brandon Barnes, Laramie Wall, Dan LaValle, Jason Hobbs, Michael Drescher, Sky, Roger Braslett, John Hammersley, Old School DM, Perry Besor, Michael Dinos, Jim Fitzpatrick, Christopher Gray, Bruce Cunnington, Matt Cyberlick, Chad Gleeman, Lord Tentacle, Corey Welch, Kyle Winter, Merkel Froelich, Joe Swick, Curtis Takahashi, Josh Wallace, Kevin Lovecraft, and Andy Olson. For ways to support the show, head over to gaminginbs.com/support-us. Thanks, BSers!
This has been a Litterbox Studio production.